G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's that time of day where I'm just itching to do another vlog, itching to add another video, another episode to Jim's 5am Club, and more specifically, what I'm going to do today is to add another video to the tribute that I'm putting together for Anthony Robbins, entitled All That I've Learned from Anthony Robbins Over the Years. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go on a walk and talk. I'm at the Water Dragon Way. It's the entry point to a bushwalk close to my home, where I can walk through some bushland, where we can listen to some birds chattering away, and to use that as a backdrop so that we get to hear some empowering information where possible, and to also get to enjoy a bushwalk and do two things at the one time. So what I want to do today is just carry on from where I left off yesterday, and today's episode will be number 77 of hopefully 365 that I plan to put together, so that we've got a library of one video a day for those who want to follow what we're doing, and to document and capture and create a repository of wisdom that I've been able to accumulate over the past 30 years, given that I've been to a couple of Anthony Robbins UPW seminars in the mid-90s. I've read Anthony Robbins' original blockbuster books, Awaken the Giant Within and Unlimited Power, and I've listened over and over again many times to his tape series Power Talk and Power Talk 2. And I guess with my own personal experience and with all the other books that I've read, and also added to that the benefit of going to UPW in 2023, which, according to the official statement during the seminar, it looks like that is probably the last of its kind, the last UPW that will be hosted here in Australia, live by Anthony Robbins. So what I'm doing is I'm just capturing as much information and as much as I can, whilst I have the energy, whilst I have the drive, and whilst I have the momentum that's been built up by me, I guess, over the past 3 years, since the beginning of 2020, or around about May 2020 to be accurate, where I decided to build and set up my own web channel called Jim's 5am Club, and I've got, at this point in time, over 1,650 videos on personal development, which probably makes me one, if not the biggest in the world in terms of the YouTube channel, in terms of volume of content, as well as variety of content. So I've been able to build up my skills in terms of storytelling, and I really enjoy it, and I love doing it. So I thought I'd take the Anthony Robbins material and try and build on it as much as I can to have another string to the bow, because Jim's 5am Club is made up of a lot of book summaries that I've been able to present. I've also got another little thing happening on the side called My Greek Orthodox Odyssey, which is a group of videos with a spiritual bent, where I take material presented by an abbot, a monk who lives in Greece, who has his own YouTube channel called Yeron Nectarios, and I take his wonderful material and I translate it to English as best I can, and I put it into my own words based on my own layman's understanding of my Christian faith. So I've taken on board quite a bit of complexity, but I'm really happy to say that 3 years later I have this wonderful library, this wonderful YouTube channel, which is available for all to use and to benefit from. And as I say to my wife, my children, my grandchildren, if you were to listen to just one video a week, it would take you over 30 years to get through and to listen to all the material that I've put together. It is a lot of work, but it has been a lot of fun. So without a further ado, what we'll do is we'll just talk a little bit more today about belief systems. And this is one of Anthony Robbins' fortes. He is brilliant when it comes to talking about belief systems, rules, values, and the alignment of all of those and how they're aligned to action. And one of the key points that he made in the recent UPW seminar was that he says that whenever you're talking with other people, whatever comes after the word but is almost guaranteed to be a BS, a belief system. So if you want to understand your own belief system or somebody else's belief systems, one of the key messages, one of the key learnings from Anthony Robbins is that you need to listen and listen intently when you're talking to other people, to hear what you're saying, but also to hear what they are saying. Because after the word but generally is a very strong clue as to what the belief system is. So we have an opportunity to grow and develop and to understand what makes us tick and what makes others around us tick by listening to the structure of their sentences and what they say. Because Anthony Robbins also says something really powerful as well, and he says that when people communicate, they are doing one of two things with their communication. communication is either one of these two things. Communication can either be an act of love, something which is supportive, something which contributes and helps, or it could be a cry for help. So when people communicate, according to the big man, it's either an act of love or a cry for help. And it's up to us to listen and then to respond in a way which is productive, which is helpful, and which is useful. So once again, a very, very big lesson in terms of understanding the language that people use, how they use it, and what it actually means. So once again, in summary, Tony Robbins is saying, if you're speaking with somebody, whatever comes after the word but is a very, very strong clue in terms of what the belief system is that that person has. And another clue that the big man talks about is that when you're examining people's values, another language structure that you need to listen to and look out for is the if then. So if people say if then that is once again a clue in terms of what their rules are and how those rules are attached to their values. And Tony Robbins says over and over again, and he's really, really good at this, he's really confident about what he has to say about this particular thing. And he says that if you can understand a person's belief systems, and if you can understand their values and how their values are prioritized and weighted, and this includes yourself, it also includes your partner, your friends, your family, and anybody who you come into contact with. You can use this in a business when you're analysing teams and working with people around you. What he says is that if you can understand the belief systems that people hold, their values and their rule sets, and the order in which he has or they have those things, then you can pretty well predict how they're going to behave to certain things that happen to them in their lives. Because we as humans, while a lot of people think that we are unpredictable and emotional, by understanding belief systems, values, the hierarchy, the prioritization of these things, and the weightings of these things, then you're in a very, very good position to be able to predict a person's behaviour consistently over and over again by understanding these key elements of their identity and their makeup. So I love this sort of stuff. I don't know about you, but just the mere fact that we can understand ourselves and other people by having a look into certain easy to identify characteristics can make a huge difference to our lives and their lives. Because Anthony Robbins also talks about when we have conflict in our life, that conflict usually comes from the rules that we have and those rules that we apply, the if-then things, because it's these rules that keep us on the track, or on track, should I say, and keep us honest, consistent, and allow us to do things without having to think about them, because they are embodied and embedded in our psyche, in our mindset, and in our decision-making processes. The big man also goes on to say that just like computers, just like all systems, we are limited by our current programming, and that programming could have been things that we've decided and inputted and programmed ourselves based on our interpretation of what's going on in the world around us and how it impacts us and how we respond to it. But a lot of the programming that comes to us is programming that has been inherited and primed by our environment. So what we're saying here is that a lot of the rules, a lot of the values, a lot of the belief systems that we hold, and we don't necessarily spend a lot of time trying to understand them and to evaluate them. We just take them as being true for whatever reason. But what Anthony Robbins is saying is that a lot of those belief systems that we have, a lot of those things that we value, are things that we have inherited from other people over time. Some may be still relevant, many may not be relevant any longer, because we're constantly changing, the environment is constantly changing, and sometimes our rule sets that we hold so dearly and closely to us haven't changed. So we need from time to time to look deeply into all of the things that make us tick, look deeply into the values, the guiding principles, the rules, the actions, and our understanding and the meaning that we apply to these things, because sometimes we outgrow these things and they no longer serve us as best that they can. So the call to action is to evaluate and to have a look at those things that we hold dear to our hearts, and to try and deal with the inner conflict that may be occurring, and the conflict that's occurring between us, our friends, our family members, and to seek opportunities wherever possible to alter, to change, to fix some of that programming, as we mentioned before, to make it relevant, to make it contemporary, to make it current, and to make it useful. As you can see, it's rained a little bit over the past few days, and the bushland that I'm walking in smells absolutely divine. It's just so fresh down here. I can't quite explain to you how beautiful it is, but just that sound of the running water, the water trickling over the rocks, is just so nurturing, so uplifting, so liberating, that I just love every opportunity I can to come down here. So one of the key elements, key learnings that we're taking from this session from Anthony Robbins is that we need to look at our programming. We need to look at how old it is, how relevant it is, how useful it is, and just like any programmer who looks after code, to evaluate it, to test it, to run some new data through it, to see if the way we think and the way we behave is still relevant and still useful, and as we said, that it still serves you in a productive way. And we need to, where necessary, change the code. You don't have to stick to the same code over and over again. You don't have to behave the same way to the same stimuli over and over again if it no longer serves you, or if it's no longer a threat, or if it's no longer important. You can cut pieces of code out of your programming and just eliminate it altogether, or you can add other code in to change the outcome, change the response. You're the best judge of what you have to do and how it impacts you. And the whole message from Anthony Robbins is that, we are the coders. Of course, with partnership with God. And at the end of the day, when it all comes to coding, the overriding principle should be, is what I'm doing, is what I'm thinking, is what I'm planning right now God pleasing? Is it going to help me achieve my calling? Is it going to help me express my calling? Is it going to allow me to serve God with all my heart, mind and soul? Is it going to help me build the skills and the strengths that are going to make me a better version of myself, so that I can use those strengths and those skills to help others, to express love to my neighbour, to my enemy, and to love them and to revere them and to look at them with the love that I have for myself. So all of these things are pretty easy if you're asking the right questions. And it is quite powerful to think of it from a systems perspective or from a programming perspective, because it gives us an opportunity to understand that there is change that is possible, and change can happen in an instant. All we have to do is just change the code and rerun the program, and hopefully the outcomes will change, will improve, and we can have a better life that comes from it. Anthony Robbins talks about the fact that people can have the same values, but different rules in terms of how they express them. And he also talks eloquently about the fact that every single person is different in many ways from each other. We're all different from each other in order to be different for each other. God gives us different skills. He gives us different gifts. He gives us an opportunity to express those gifts in ways that are going to be productive and are going to help us along our path of salvation, but it's also going to help them find their path. And a friend of mine that I worked with wasn't Greek Orthodox, wasn't any of the traditional denominations that one would think about from a Christian perspective, but he shared a very wise concept with me, and I'm sure that this concept is the sort of thing that we're all trying to achieve. He said that in our lives we have opportunities with our example and our leadership, our personal leadership, and the way we contact and connect with people and the environment and the community around us to influence people in many different ways. We get married, we have children, and all of those things are salvific, because to stay married and to bring up children requires a certain amount of selflessness and love, guidance, contribution, and financial investment. And all of those things, if done with the right intent, and the right intent is for us to find our path to heaven and to help our children and grandchildren and our partners find the path to heaven, and for us all to get to heaven. He also says that if we're influencing and helping other people along that very path, he said that if we just save one other person, and it's no guarantee who gets saved, but if we are able through our example to help another person change their lives, this is a great miracle, and it's almost a greater miracle than somebody walking on water. Because if you can help somebody find the path, if you can help somebody stay married or find love or to stay connected as a family and as a member of the community, and if they can find a way to become one with God and they are saved, then you've helped somebody be saved for eternity. So one person saved for eternity, he tells me, is more important than if you were the richest man on earth and you could help everyone on the planet at this point in time. Say for example, you're Bill Gates. If Bill Gates could help everybody live comfortably for another 20 years, what he was saying is that in relative terms, if you can save one person's soul, that is more valuable than if you could help everybody on the planet at this point in time, all 7 billion people, live an extra 20 years, if that extra 20 years didn't amount to anybody becoming one with God. So a powerful way of looking at it. And as I say, I don't want to come across as a Bible basher, but I do want to come across as somebody who would love to at least get people to think a little bit more strategically from a spiritual perspective in terms of what they're doing, and what the purpose of their life is. Because getting back to what Tony Robbins is saying about rules, is saying that we all have different rules, even though we're trying to achieve the same thing. We have different rules which enables us to express ourselves in different ways. But as Tony Robbins says, we're different from each other so that we can be different for each other. Those differences are to be used so that we can complement and supplement each other's strengths and weaknesses, because we're all work in progress. We're all in different seasons, different chapters, different phases of our lives. No two people are ever at the same place at the same time. Even if you're born a twin, even if you were born a Siamese twin, joined and fused at the hips, now you're going to be at a different point of your growth and development throughout your life, because you're focusing on different things, you're obsessing about different things, you're placing different meaning on different things at different times. And what happens is, when you stack your beliefs, when you stack your values one on top of the other, when you stack your rules, our worldview, even though it may be similar, is going to be very, very different from other people's. So just the way of looking at it. Now, any change, any variation, once you stack one on top of the other, it creates a big difference, a big gap in where we end up. And this is something that Tony Robbins just reminds us about, just to let us know that we must meet people where they are and not where we are or where we want them to be. It's important to be balanced and to be empathetic and to have an open heart and to reach out to people and meet them where they are, not to meet them where you are, because as we said, we're all different. We're all growing at different rates. We're stacking different experiences. We've all got different slithers of reality that we use, that we weight, that we have loaded into our conscious and our subconscious, and all of those things working together influence dramatically our worldview and how we see things and how we evaluate things and how we respond to things and how we deal with things. And no two people are the same in any way. And even if people appear to be same, they do it just to comfort the other person. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are aligned, because you may be aligned in one aspect, but as soon as another challenge comes up, you're going to have more variations in approach and more conflict, more cognitive conflict that needs to be addressed. Just trying to think, which way did I come down? I think I came down this way over here. Anyway, I'll just head up that way, mate. Is that up to the road there?
What's that, buddy?
Does that take you up to the road?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Are you
mate.
looking for anything in particular?
No, just going up the road.
Oh, yeah. Straight up there, turn right when you get to a little junction, head up the hill.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. There you go. So we're back on track. Back on track over here. So once again, let's get back to the rules here. So Anthony Robbins is saying is your rules determine how you achieve your values. Your rules determine how you achieve your values. And he says something else which is really, really spot on, something that I love. And this is a challenge that I see that a lot of people have. Anthony Robbins says that too many rules can create too many problems. If you have too many rules, then what that may lead to is conflict. It may lead to procrastination. And what Anthony Robbins is saying is to have rules for the things that are really, really important to you, the things that are non-negotiable, but you're able to use your common sense along the way just to figure out how to go about things without getting caught up with too many rules. And once again, if you've got too many rules, then you tend to be a bit of a perfectionist. And perfectionism in an environment of constant and never-ending change like we live in at the present means that you're going to be wired for pain. So once again, Anthony Robbins is very, very big on just getting us to focus on what is important and to major on major things rather than majoring on minors, and to have a rule set which gives us certainty and to help us make the right decisions. I think I'll leave it there for now. I guess the last point I want to make, I've just had a look at my notes here. It's on the same topic here, and Anthony Robbins says we need to be very, very careful though with the rules, the values, the belief systems that we have, and to make sure that all that we have is allowing us to express the authentic identity that we have, or how we want to be, or how we see ourselves. And it's up to each and every one of us to decide once and for all what those belief systems are. And by the way, I've got friends of mine who are very, very smart people who have been caught up with conspiracy theories, and I just don't understand how they even got to thinking in these particular ways. But with YouTube and with the internet, with vlogs, and there's so much material out there, and not all of it is correct. There's a lot of misinformation there, and you've got people who have no credentials whatsoever holding themselves out to be experts and influencers. And what they do is they publish material which, to a person with an untrained eye, looks as if it's well researched, if it's factual, but in actual fact it's all just rubbish. And yet once you go down a rabbit hole, once you get connected with this type of mindset, once you start believing the rubbish that is out there, the conspiracy theories, then before you know it, you're not going to know right from wrong, fact from fiction, and you're just going to be played forever and a day. So we need to be careful how we define ourselves and how we allow others to portray us and talk about us and define us. Because if you don't take time to clearly define yourself and to understand who you are and who you represent, then what you're leaving yourself open to is somebody else defining you and putting words into your mouth and, sending you on a merry goose chase. And then you wake up one day and you look yourself in the mirror and you don't really know who that person is looking back at you. So there's a very, very big warning that Tony Robbins says: make sure that you take control of the definition of who you are. I'm just blowing away the mosquitoes, by the way. Make sure that you take control of who you are and don't allow other people, even family members, to define who you are or to push their belief systems, their rules and their values on you, unless you, of course, agree with them and accept them. And to be authentic and to use your critical thinking and to use your courage to be the man or the woman who you're destined to be, without being manipulated and influenced. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this episode. I look forward to coming to you again from another place with another message of empowerment, where we can live, learn and pass it on, where we can add life hacks to our library of skills and, of course, apply them where possible, and to not be ashamed, not to be scared about what's coming next, because nobody's been to tomorrow, and we are in the best position to take charge and to make the right decisions for us and our loved ones for tomorrow and all the future tomorrows that come. Take care, all the best, and bye for now.